Everyone, I'm Nadine and welcome to Bookish Enough. Now that it's July and June has wrapped up, I'm here to do my June wrap-up and July TBR. I read 14 books this month and, please excuse my dog, and 3 graphic novels, so I'm just going to dive in since it's quite a bit. First book I technically finished this month was A Clash of Kings by George R. R. Martin, which is the second book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. It is absolutely fantastic. I loved every second of it. It is pretty beefy, so it took me a little bit to get through. But if you haven't started this series and you want to, do not be dissuaded from the size of these books. They're fantastic and worth every second. The second and third books that I read this month was The Son of Neptune and The Lost Hero, which is the first and second book in the Heroes of Olympus by Rick Riordan, which is the series after Percy Jackson. I loved every second of these books. The first one I gave a 5 stars, as well as the second one. I missed Percy in the first one, but that was easily remedied and quickly remedied with The Son of Neptune. The fourth book I read this month was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I gave this a 3 stars, I think. I didn't like it as much as everyone else has and as much as I wanted. I enjoyed the writing. It was so beautiful and so well written. Absolutely 100%. Probably one of the best written books I've read in a while. But I felt like I didn't care at all about the characters. So when it came to the ending, you know, when you find out what's going on, I just didn't care. I was interested, but when I closed the book, I kind of forgot about the characters. I didn't think the author did a good job of making me feel sympathy towards the characters. So that's why I gave it a 3 stars. The next 3 books that I read are The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Really Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer by Jenny Han. I read these in a matter of like 2 or 3 days. I devoured them. Jenny Han's writing is so addicting. It's like crack. I enjoyed the series. I think I gave the first one a 4 stars, the second a 4.5, and the last one a 5. I felt like the series did get better as the books went on, but what I think lacked the most in these books is like the interaction between Belly and Jeremiah and then Belly and Conrad. I felt like I didn't really feel a connection between all the characters and their relationships. I felt a connection between Belly and Jeremiah in the last one, but throughout the entire books I just felt like it wasn't really explored to its fullest extent. It was more implied that they had a relationship and a connection, and I would have definitely liked to see more of those. But I highly recommend this trilogy for a fun summery read. It was pretty good. I read Rush Too Far by Abby Glines, which is part of the Rosemary Beach series. This is a new adult book. It is a point of view telling from Rush, so it's never too far. It's fallen too far, but from Rush's perspective. I think I gave this a 4.5 stars. I am not a big fan of male point of views or just alternate point of views for just a sole book, but I read them anyways. I definitely like this book because I really enjoyed that story with Rush and Blair, but I definitely preferred Fallen Too Far, which is Blair's point of view, a lot more than Rush's, so that's why I gave it the 4.5. Next, I read Bad For You by Abby Glines, which is part of the Seabury series. I think it's like the 7th or 8th book in this series, and I gave it a 4 stars. I enjoyed the writing, as always with Abby Glines, but I felt like the main character had a very complex and mentally disturbing backstory, and I felt that that was not treated properly because it was kind of brushed off and handled really lightly, whereas something like that shouldn't be handled lightly. So that's what really bugged me about the story. I didn't really care about the characters, and as this series progresses, you get further and further away from the core characters because the core characters have their own books. So I feel like I'm caring less and less about the characters. But alas, I will keep reading. I read was Alienated by Melissa Landers. I gave this a 4.5 stars, and it would have been a 5-star easily, hands down, except I had a few little issues with this book. But essentially this is about an alien student exchange program between Earth and some far distant planet. The main character is elected to host the alien and whole things ensue from there. What I didn't like about this story is that you're kind of thrown into the middle of it, which it does make sense because it is in the middle of these like negotiations between the aliens and the humans, and the general populace doesn't have much information about the aliens, so we as a reader don't. But I really think this story would have been improved greatly if there was some sort of flashback to when the aliens first contacted, etc., to give us a little bit more of a grounding in this world. But that's the only thing I didn't like. I thought this was funny. There's a lot of times that I was just laughing out loud because it's hilarious, and it is a fun, light read. I cannot wait for the second one, which it doesn't come out until like a year from now, I think in February, which really sucks, but it's definitely worth the read. Next book that I read was Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I picked this up because of all the hype around it here on BookTube, and I did enjoy it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. There were a few things that really bugged me, and one of those was how predictable this book was. In the first, I think it's like 20 or 50 pages, there's a few hints that aren't subtle at all. They're just completely obvious, at least to me, so that's kind of, didn't like it because of that. I definitely enjoyed the uniqueness of this story. Cinder is such a fantastic character. I loved her every second. Prince Kai, not memorable whatsoever. I'm rooting for them to be together, but as the book boyfriends go, I don't think he was that memorable. I am excited to continue on with this series with Scarlet, so hopefully that one is as good as this one. The next book that I read was Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is like my 3rd or 4th time rereading this book. And I am rereading the rest of the books in preparation for Opposition, which comes out August 5th, which is the final book in this series. This is fantastic. If you don't know what this is an alien story. This girl moves to this small town out of nowhere, and she meets an alien who lives next door, and a whole bunch of things ensue from there. It is so fantastic. Jennifer L. Armentrout's writing is so fantastic and phenomenal. You will not be able to put this down. This is hands down one of my favorite series. The second to last book that I read was Fire with Fire by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian, which is the second book to Burn for Burn. I definitely like this book a lot more than the first one. I think I gave this one a 4 stars. The revenge tactics in here aren't as many as they were in Burn for Burn, but they're a lot more complex and a lot more serious, I think, in my opinion. As with the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy, Jenny Han's writing is so addicting. What I didn't like about this book is Mary's perspective, just like I didn't like her perspective in the first book. Kat and Lillian, I think her name is, perspectives are a lot more interesting to me, but I guess we'll see with the last one. I think it comes out in September or the end of the summer. Book that I read this month was Odd Thomas by Dean Koontz. I read this because of a recommendation from a coworker. It's one of his favorite series, so I decided I'd give it a shot. This follows a character whose name is Odd Thomas, and he can see the dead. So the dead are lingering around, are the ones who haven't passed over to the other side, and Odd Thomas sort of helps him move on by helping them find their killer, etc. This book just drips sarcasm, is hilarious. It's, oh my, everything. If you're looking for a funny book, this is it. Despite its, like murdery topic and ghosts and stuff, it is hilarious. You'll be laughing out loud the entire time. Like, there's this one part where Elvis is following Odd around, and he's crying and he's sad, and he's like walking on the water crying. And it's just hilarious. And they're sitting in the car and he's driving and they're listening to Elvis, and Elvis is singing along but he's crying, and it is absolutely hilarious. This is an adult book, so be wary. There are a few things in here that might be not appropriate for younger children, but it was definitely fun, and I will be continuing on with the series. I think it's like a 7-book series. So the first graphic novel that I read this month was Sega Volume 2 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, and then I obviously picked up Volume 3. Fantastic, so awesome. This graphic novel series is like shooting by far to one of my favorites. If you watch my comic book haul / what I'm reading, you'll also see that I read the next 2 chapters for this in the little issues form. So yes, definitely pick this up if you're looking for something like sci-fi, fantasy, and graphic book form. As everyone says, there's mature content, so be wary of that. And the last comic book that I picked up was The Walking Dead Volume 14, No Way Out. This is one of my all-time favorites as well. The story is just so captivating because it focuses more on the character development and what happens to them while they're in the zombie apocalypse. So fantastic. I gave all these graphic novels 5 out of 5 stars. Love them. Now I am currently reading Veronica Mars, the $1,000 Tan Line by Rob Thomas and Jennifer Graham. This book takes place after the movie Veronica Mars, and if you know anything about this fandom, etc., you know that there are 3 seasons, a movie, and now there's a book, and another book's coming out. So you definitely shouldn't read this book because there are a lot of like offhanded comments and lots of spoilers that you may not understand or spoil yourself for. So definitely watch the 3 seasons if you haven't. Fantastic, and the movie is just as good. And I'm listening to Kristen Bell narrate this, who is the main character in the TV show and movie, and she is doing such a fantastic job. It reads just like the TV show, and she changes her voice for different characters, and she does such a fantastic job. So I am about 203 pages in, a little more than halfway, loving it. This month I'm going to keep it really simple. I plan on reading The Mark of Athena and The House of Hades by Rick Riordan, which is the stand for my phone right now, so I can't show you them. I plan on reading A Storm of Swords by George R. R. Martin, which is the 3rd book in the Fire and A Song of Fire and Ice series. I also plan on reading Prep School Confidential by Kara Taylor. This was recommended for fans of Veronica Mars, so I picked it up on Book Outlet for like $2. I also plan on reading Throne of Glass. I recently ordered the hardcover, so it matches my beautiful hardcovers of Crown of Midnight and The Assassin's Blade. I also plan on reading The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey in preparation for the new book coming out. I don't even know the name, don't even know when it's coming out, but I know it's coming out soon. I will have a book haul up soon. I ordered a few more books that I also plan on reading this month, so look forward to that. Let me know if you've read anything that I've mentioned today. Whether it be what I read or my TBR. Let me know if you liked it, if you didn't, down below. Thanks for watching. Bye.